Dyke would much rather have gone for his favourite Grand Creme cup of coffee at some quaint French sidewalk cafe. However, he did not want his client to think that trying to find Mr. Van de Hoeven's long-lost brother Jacques, alias the monk, was a secondary priority of his. So obligingly he agreed to check the abandoned abbey out that his client had taken him to. The gate was locked, but Freddy knew that he would find a way into the abbey, which really was more like a fortress. As luck would have it, he did manage to get in and found himself in a kind of an outdoor kitchen area. The outdoor kitchen area showed no evidence of any recent cooking, so Freddy looked around and spotted a shed. He went inside and noted that it had been turned into a kind of a very small Spartan dwelling. It had a sink, toilet, and it looked like someone might have lived there at one time, but not too recently. Freddy next walked to the other side of the abbey and spotted a big heavy door. He checked it, but it was locked shut. He then spotted a window and walked up to it to see what he could see inside. Again, a strong negative energy surrounded him as he approached the window. "Wow," he explained, "this is the third time the monk has appeared to me. I'm calling it a day." The following day didn't come soon enough for Freddy Van Dyke. Finally, he would do something he really liked, and that was making music. His client, Mr. Van de Hoeven, who had more or less become Freddy's private chauffeur, had no objections to taking him to the Blackwater Cafe, where he was to meet with Dr. Rashandra. Freddy was about to get a surprise, however. Apparently, Dr. Rashandra's secretary, Samantha, was also a regular musician at Blackwater Cafe. What was not known to anyone but the monk was the fact that Samantha used this after-hours job to do some more spying. Dr. Rashandra, on his arrival at Blackwater, spotted Dr. Baptiste at one of the tables and joined him. Not long thereafter, Freddy walked in with his guitar, ready to make some serious music.
I telephoned my for being, could we meet possible my office? The address is 1325 Rue.
As to his evening at Blackwater Cafe with Dr. Rashandra, Freddy Van Dyke would later tell his client, Mr. Van de Hoeven, the following. "I thoroughly enjoyed the jam and appreciated the opportunity to do some blues, jazz, guitar playing myself. We certainly had a very similar interest in music. I was surprised to hear Dr. Rashan play Sleepwalk, one of my favorite songs on the guitar. While playing his guitar with Dr. Rashandra, Freddy had noticed that Samantha stayed for a while to listen to their music, but when he finished playing, she was gone. However, it was nothing that a nice breakfast and a refreshing swim in his client's pool the next morning couldn't fix. Freddy Van Dyke had another meeting with his client, Mr. Van de Hoeven, over a nice Grand Creme cup of coffee. Mr. Van der Hoeven agreed that the idea of the ley lines should be explored further with Dr. Baptiste.
Ja, zou de kerk er iets van weten? Of zou misschien heeft hij wel internet.
The next day, Freddie met with Dr. Baptiste to try again to learn about those important ley lines. According to Dr. Baptiste's calculations, the monk was likely to turn up next in Marseille. That was a good enough reason for Freddie to plan another outing and catch up on some more sightseeing, this time in Marseille. Both Dr. Rechandre and Dr. Baptiste were interested in going there.
Oh, hello, Jacques. It's Samantha. I have some more information for you.
And Dr. Rechandre advised that he would arrange for a meeting there with a Mr. Bishop from Interpol, who happened to be staying at a apartment hotel in Marseille, and who was also investigating the monk. All three agreed to meet in Marseille the next morning at the Marseille Bay Outdoor Market. Freddie van Dyke, who had again been chauffeured by his client, was dropped off at the marketplace, where he met up with Dr. Rechandre and Dr. Baptiste, as had been planned. Their first order of business was to have a cup of coffee somewhere. They found themselves a nice little restaurant near the bay, overlooking the waterfront with all the boats, and discussed all the things that had been happening to them. Freddie shared with Dr. Baptiste and Dr. Rechandre his experiences with the monks' apparitions. This really astonished him. While they were sitting there talking, they had no idea that they were actually being spied on by the monk, who had been tipped off by Samantha. Dr. Baptiste did share with the group that he felt somewhat uneasy while sitting in the restaurant, but didn't know why. Dr. Baptiste next took us to the marina, where he had a boat docked. He talked about wanting to take us on a trip at some point, but perhaps this particular day was not the best, as the three had other plans, which involved a meeting with Mr. Bishop for a very important meeting. Freddie van Dyke and Dr. Rechandre took a look at Dr. Baptiste's boat and were extremely impressed with the craft. They expressed a real interest in going on a trip with him sometime. Business had to be taken care of, and they made their way to the apartment hotel of Mr. Bishop.
Business, we have a gate to town before we go to the boat to the water. Bonjour mes amis. Bonjour mon ami. Comment ça va? Comment ça va, sir? Mr. Bishop? Comment ça va, Mr. Bishop? He's asked me to fill in for him. Would that be all right with you people? Oh, certainly, yeah. Dr. Michael Rechandre. Bonjour, mon ami. Oh, yes. Ça va bien, Dr. Jean-Baptiste? Dr. Jean-Baptiste. Would anybody like a drink sometime? All right, I'll get you guys. Drink for mes amis. That's cold drink for you, my friend.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci.
Don't we call each other by our first names? I refer to Dr. Rechandre, but I call you Michael.
oui.
Yeah.
That must be good.
And can we call you Henri?
Henri is proper name. Well, yes, you're Mr. Van Dyke from Holland.
Yes.
And you also were involved in this investigation. There are quite a few people involved here, and there's a lot to this particular story.
Yeah.
So should we close this meeting?
I would say that's a good.
Further work with you.
A toast.
A toast.
Toast.
Working on an exciting but something.
Here, as they say, is to finding the monk.
Finding him out. Henri, what do you know about Jean-Baptiste's involvement and his expertise?
I've not been informed too well on that particular subject, Mr. Baptiste.
Perhaps
But perhaps you can explain what your involvement might be.
If we are to catch the monk, we must proceed with great caution. Not to imply that he is a pig, although he did not outside,
Further
still, he is a pig.
work with.
Pigs, well.
This is the bishop letter, Frere Jacques, the monk. So we've passed on the letters. Mr. Carbonelli has given me these copies, one for each of you.
Oh,
Excuse me, what was the letter about?
It is about the investigation, ongoing investigation on the monk.
And that's a letter he sent you?
This is the letter that we've had, and he really wants us to read this out loud as well. So maybe I could read it out for you.
So I understand Mr. Carbonelli is a close friend of you and associate.
Mr. Carbonelli is well known to me because we have been together in a few investigations.
And you already explained that currently you're working on the monk investigation.
Yes, we're working on the monk investigation, and we are trying to decipher this particular individual. He
Okay.
seems to be appearing and disappearing for some reason.
Did Dr. Richandre tell you anything about my involvement in this matter?
a toast.
A toast.
Toast. Sunday.
Toast.
Post.
Sauté,
Post, as they say.
Here, as they say, is to finding the monk.
To find them out, yeah. I'll just run by you very quickly what my position is. I was only called in to find the monk, alias Jacques van der Hoeven, because he's the brother of my client Diederik van der Hoeven, and he was simply looking for a long lost brother, and that's where I came into the picture to find him. Things are getting a little bit more complicated now. Dr. Richandre knew Dr. Bishop, and he suggested we get together with Dr. Bishop. As it turns out, Dr. Bishop was also involved in this investigation.
Another drink?
Yeah.
Thank you very much, my friends.
Yeah, thank you very much.
So should we close this meeting?
I would say that's a, Dr. Richandre's busy anyway, so
All
yeah,
right,
that would
let's
be
have
good.
another drink.
Yeah.
This is the bishop letter. Frere Jacques, the monk, used to have very close ties with the Vatican on account of his special expertise in the areas of ancient languages, including Latin, and his specialized knowledge of church history. He had access to the Vatican archives and saw fit to steal some very important documents from said archives. Apparently these documents, of which unfortunately there are no copies, contain highly sensitive and secret information about the legal ownership of the entire Vatican estate. I won't belabor you with all the lots of details, but give you a condensed version to, as here to say, are certain very wealthy European families who claim to be the sole and legal owners. The Vatican, of course, disputes these claims. The truth, however, can only be proven by what is stated in these documents. The monk has these documents, and it is needless to say, the object of my investigation, which has now taken on international proportions. In fact, something that you would not have been aware of, Mr. Van Dyke. The monk's family in the Netherlands happens to be one of these European families, and this is the real reason why Mr. Diederik van der Hoeven, your client, wants to find his brother.
You're kidding, I have absolutely no idea.
So should we close this meeting?
A toast.
Toast.
Sunday.
Yeah,
Come to our house.
Toast.
Here, as they say, is to finding the monk.
Find out.
It's going to be very difficult because there is man.
What information do you have about Samantha? Maybe you could clear that up.
Well, apparently, spying. Wicked woman.
Samantha?
Samantha. Like us on the truck.
Yeah, and Miguel, it's important to you too, because you're her boss, and I don't think you would want to secretary to spying in your office.
I have no idea that my own secretary was stabbing me in the back with what she do. I have no idea. I never would have thought that my own secretary would do this. She has been in my employ now for some time, and I had no idea that she was like this.
You must try to control your employees, my friend. You must try to control and keep tabs on her.
Oui, I do agree. What about yourself, Monsieur Van Dyke? You had no idea she was like this? But,
No idea at all.
Stay, you must be careful. If you are going to make arrange to rendezvous with Samantha, you must be careful, because if what Monsieur is telling us is true, then you don't want anything happen to you, so you must be careful when you make rendezvous.
All I can say is we're going to have to watch our backs. We're going to have to watch this gal Samantha.
I think she's involved in some musicians, maybe. That could be the problem. But she is a musician herself, isn't she not?
Well, my understanding, she played accordion.
She plays more than the accordion, I think.
I think maybe she do. I think maybe you must be careful, Monsieur. She is not.
I'll be watching. Thanks very much.
She has been going. Has she not had any involvement with you, Fred?
Well, I met her at Dr. Rochambe's office, and she was the secretary there. I like her. Nice looking gal. I'd met her once before in Amsterdam, but that was in a different capacity. On the way out of the office, Samantha suggested that perhaps we could get together for a cup of coffee. That's all I know. Now you're telling me she's spying. And, I thought she was an accordion player at Blackwater Cafe and working for Dr. Rochambe.
I have a suggestion for Monsieur Van Dyke. A couple of suggestions. You have make arrange for to rendezvous with Samantha for coffee, you
We
said?
have indeed, yes.
One of the things I would suggest is tread very careful. Be very careful, but also, while you are having coffee with Samantha, maybe you could entice, or I wouldn't say seduce, but entice, maybe you could get some information out of her, what she is doing and why.
Not to worry, I'll pick her brain. I'll find out what I can. Dr. Baptiste, Jean, any suggestions?
The ley lines, they cover the globe in a haphazard manner. To travel from one ley line to the other, you have to be spiritually pure. I trust
Well,
you.
Dr.
And turn
Baptiste,
yourself into
I have
exist
question
and
for
will
Dr.
yourself
Baptiste.
to another point. When you do this, the distance you travel is virtually instantaneous. What I will try to do is I will try to foul up the ley lines in the area to impede his progress. I may be able to delay him 5-10 minutes at most. His skill with working these lines is far greater than mine. It would not take him long to get around any efforts I possess.
This is very interesting. anything like this before, any investigation with Interpol or any of them. We all know. I do believe he's right, Freddie.
That's why we need John. I don't really understand what he's talking about, but I trust him. I trust his expertise, and I do hope with John's help we can actually make some headway here, because the monk is very elusive.
A toast.
A toast. So should we close this meeting?
Toast. Santé.
Toast. Here, as they say, is to finding the monk.
Finding the monk.
A toast.
A toast.
Toast. Santé.
Toast.
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 So should we close this meeting?
We've been, before we leave, there's one question I do have. I've been checking a lot of churches and cathedrals, and this is where I have come across the monk, where he's made us an apparition. There's a church in Marseille. It's called the Garde, Notre Dame de Garde. Are you familiar with that cathedral?
It rings a bell, but not...
Well, monsieur, I attend once in a while. I attend Sunday service there, just only because I like the architecture of the building.
Well, perhaps we could all meet there and just take a quick look around, see if there's any possibility that we run into another apparition. Because it was John who actually mentioned to me before we came to Marseille that there was a good chance that the monk might make another appearance somewhere else, possibly Marseille, because that seems to be on the grid lines. I have no idea how you determine all that, but I try.
Right.
That's correct. That's correct. I think that would be a great place
So
to
we'll
get.
try to get ourselves down there and begin to solve this problem.
Before we leave the city, I think that would be a great place to check. And after that, if we may not accomplish anything, and after that, we simply head back to Manosque and meet there and plan our next strategy. Because we have talked about also the possibility that the monk is returning to Holland, where he's originally from.
So should we close this meeting?
I would say that's it. Would you be able to leave tonight?
Yes, I would, because I'm very anxious to find out what really is going on.
Okay.
So should we close this meeting? All right, let's have another drink. Toast to something accomplished today.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah. How about we meet in your lobby tonight? Around what time would you say? Are you available to head back? 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock this evening?
7 o'clock would be fine.
7 o'clock is good? Okay.
7 o'clock would be fine.
7 o'clock. Okay with you, gentlemen?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
7 o'clock would be fine.
7 o'clock is good? Okay.
So I could make arrange today 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock is good? Okay. 7 o'clock is good?
That's okay by me, I would think.
Okay, excellent.
7 o'clock. Yes.
A toast.
A toast.
Toast. Santé.
So should we close this meeting?
We're heading back to Manosque. We're leaving tonight. I have arranged for a car, by the way, because I've been without a car for a while. I had to depend on other people to drive me, so I bought myself a nice little car here in Marseille. Got French plates on it. I'll be driving it back, and I may even take it back to Holland. So I invite you all to come with me back to Manosque. Would that be of interest?
I'm certain I would go.
7 o'clock would be fine.
That's okay by me, I would think.
Okay. 7 o'clock. Okay with you, gentlemen? 7 o'clock is good? Okay. 7 o'clock. Okay with you, gentlemen? 7 o'clock is good? Okay. Perfect. Okay, very good. So we shall see you then?
We will be there.
Okay, good.
Just
Now, toast.
another drink.
Yeah. Okay.
Toast to something accomplished today.
Okay.
Thank you very much, my friends.
Yeah. Thank you very much.